Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening. It's always a good time for Touchdown in Paradise here on the Vince Talk Sports Network. I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
I'm Pete.
And boys, what a season. I can't believe it's over. Petey, how you feeling over there?
Oh, man, just bummed, dude, because, you don't know how many times you're going to get to this moment, and to feel like you had a chance to win it and to feel like certain things, the coaching staff, like the game plan they had, I did not like, and I thought they should have changed. But you know what? It is what it is. I mean, this is not making any excuses or anything, but we're going up against a team that's got the highest payroll in the NCAA. We got like 8 or 9 missing second highest, whatever. Like we got 8 or 9 missing.
Highest, but I mean, if you're really looking at it, they have a lot of veteran players all on that line.
No, they do. They do. But they're still like the highest paid team in football. We're not even close to that. Now next year we might be because
it's very veteran. Besides, Will Howard, Caleb Downs, Quinton Junkins. I mean, that's a pretty veteran roster.
No, I know. It is. I mean, so kind of. I mean, ours isn't that veteran. We got some veteran guys, but we got a lot of guys coming back, and we just won like $20 million all to ourselves. So we can pretty much go out and pay some of the top guys if we want to try to get some big guys next year, or make maybe the top recruits out of high school. But that's one aspect. We're missing like 8 guys injured. We got like two or three string backups like on key positions on the offensive line, on defense. And to say all that, we still fucking had a chance to win it. And it just, the game plan by our defensive. And you know what? I don't know if he had his mind on the NFL or what, but his game plan for this game, I did not like at all. And, you're going to just blitz basically all night. You're not going to never drop back in coverage and do a little bit of zone action. The final play of the game was man coverage with basically an all-out blitz. Jeremiah Smith one-on-one with our guy who's been getting cooked all night. He literally was getting cooked all night, our guy back there, and he leaves him one-on-one on a 3rd and 10 in their own end. It's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I just didn't understand a lot of the defensive calls. I thought Marcus adapted better, having the offense going to the passing game, which Riley Leonard was balling out. Makes me feel like, dude, why didn't we have him throw more in the first half? Why did we wait till the second half? It's like, it's just frustrating because I feel like a couple key plays, the missed field goal, that final one-on-one, which was terrible defense, it's just a couple key plays. And I really thought we could have won that game. And I knew we weren't out of it. I mean, Greathouse went off. He's going to be amazing next year. I don't understand why we weren't throwing it to him more often, this season in general. But, yeah, just a couple key plays. It's just so frustrating because I fucking hate Ohio State. And to have them win the first playoff and then the first expanded playoff, it's just like, part of my French, but S my D, I can't stand it. But yeah, what do you guys think of the game? I really thought a couple key plays, maybe some bad schemes on defense, especially. I really thought we still had a chance. I thought we could have stolen it.
Russ, I'll let you speak.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, we should have been recording last night. Pete being, excuse my language, Pete being a little bitch. I was doing podcast after game 1 and game 2 of the Yankees losing, and I'm a fucking nut. And then after we lost game 5, I was doing it, sucking it up, taking my lumps, and Pete's kind of hiding like a little bitch.
Hey, I didn't get back to from Vegas till like 5:30 last night, right?
That's
I was there all weekend for a trade show. I'm not going to get back and do the podcast a half hour later. Come on.
You got a dedication, Pete. I mean, on the game, the game plan wasn't great. Will Howard was surgical. I'll give him that. He was surgical. I was with both of you guys. Greathouse was a massive piece in that Penn State game. I don't know why they weren't going to him. And in their tight end, who's 6'8", was massive in the game.
Or go to him earlier. They waited too long to get him going.
Too long. I mean, Quinon Junkins just gashed. I mean, they couldn't stop that two-headed monster with Henderson and Junkins. But I mean, you kind of knew the offensive game plan wasn't that great because Ohio State's strength is that front seven. So let them air it out a little bit because it's definitely besides that first possession by Notre Dame, they did nothing until, they got a turnover and started moving the ball and kind of seemed like what Ohio State did all year. Like, hey, we come out hot and then we take our foot off the gas, and then we got to go. Oh, now we got to go again. So, I mean, but it was way too little too late. And, I mean, surprising if Jeter makes that field goal, they're right there in the ball game. I'm pissed.
And
I had Notre Dame to cover, and I was like, just keep them at the 40. If they lose, I guess they lose. I want my money because I'm not, I'm rooting for Notre Dame because I really, it's really hard not to root for Marcus Freeman. Know the type of guy he is, father of 6. Knowing what he brought back to Notre Dame, it's really hard. But I'm like, I just want my money. I want a good game. So it was at least Notre Dame made it a game at the end. But was it a good 4 quarters of football? I don't think so.
No, I mean, not by us, definitely. I mean, I thought we still, without playing a good 4 quarters of football, we still had a chance to, be there and win the game. It's really, to me, like 3 or 4 huge plays. It's the final play, obviously, one-on-one coverage, 3rd and 10 at their own, 40. Like, what are you doing rushing everyone and leaving Smith to just, literally, that guy guarding Smith was getting cooked all night. All night he's getting cooked. He couldn't stop anything. And we just let him go one-on-one. Basically, the second play out of halftime, letting the guy run 80 yards was just come on, dude. You can't allow that. And then I thought that we would have got off the field if it wasn't for the roughing the passer when we barely touched him and they gave him the 3rd down there. And then the missed field goal, I thought that was huge. But it's not to say we would have won.
You kind of go. I mean, I know that situation. You don't want to put them in the island, but Notre Dame's strength all year on defense has been that secondary, and that secondary they've been talking about it all leading up. So Golden's like, "Hey, I trust my guys. We got to get pressure on Howard."
I get it. I get it. But Russ,
you live
all night. I know, but all night it wasn't working. I mean, our defense didn't get them off the field in the entire first half. So, dude, what the fuck? It's not working. You're playing man coverage. You're blitzing a lot. You're never getting to the quarterback. And we're getting gashed. It's dude, even me, I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, maybe drop back. Maybe fake rush a couple dudes, drop 7 back, play zone. Because that's what Texas had success. I mean, Howard threw an interception there. They were doing some different zone coverages. Keep them in front of you. But when we're playing man, we couldn't get them off the field the entire first half. And the dude's just gashing us. Literally, our backs were the 2 touchdowns that Smith had, or the one big one, our guys calling out hey, mark him, and it's still his guy. He turns around, runs the other side of the field, and Smith doesn't do that. He's like, oh, I'm wide open, give me the ball. It's it's just so frustrating, It's just, I don't know. I was watching it and I was like, change something. Stop doing the same thing all game, please. I mean, finally we started to play, I think, a little zone in the second half. And we started to get them off the field, and maybe they were just getting a little tired. But it was just come on, man. You can't keep doing the same thing because they were gashing us. At the same time, Howard, we were making him look like a running superstar. He had more yards running than our quarterback had. And it's no one's spying him. He just runs 10, 20 yards. Whatever. Justin, what'd you think?
Well, I actually ended up crashing the Ohio State watch party. I wasn't rooting for them. I just wanted to
see. Oh, so you're the reason we lost, dude. Come on, brother.
I went down to a junkie, and it was packed, filled to the brim, everything. Where did all these in the South Bay, where do these Ohio people come from? Where'd all these Buffalo people come from? And most importantly, where'd all these Philadelphia people come from? They're invading our people. They're invading our waters. What are they doing?
I know,
Go
it's
back to
ridiculous.
Ohio. Get out of here.
Literally, dude.
It was a fun night, fun crowd. I ran into our good friend Jenny there, who's an Ohio State alum.
Yeah.
Good to see her. But you know what? It was a game that I expected Ohio State to win somehow, some way. I was shocked that Notre Dame made it a one-score game at the end. Unfortunately, the one thing that Jeremiah Smith warned to Oregon and then to Notre Dame is don't play man because I'm going to beat you. And he lived up to his word every single time he did. That last play may go down in college football history as one of the iconic plays. I hate that it has to happen against Pete's team, that it just goes, they convert a long third down, they kick a field goal, so they cover the spread. It pissed off a lot of Vegas people and Pete even more, I'm sure. So you see all that happen, and then it was just like the ending of a script that seemed like it was going to happen from day one when they were talking about how much Ohio State spent on this roster in the offseason. It was almost like the closing of the book, and that's the way I saw it. I got to say, though, Great House, beast, freaking beast. That guy, two big buddies. That guy.
Well, so is Faison, yeah.
The guys. He's the best player on the field for Notre Dame. The whole night.
No, is it Faison's the lacrosse?
Faison, yeah, it's Faison, Russ. But Justin, you're right. It just makes me think, like, why didn't we start throwing it to him earlier, dude? Like, and also, why didn't we let Riley throw it? I mean, he was killing it throwing the ball. Like, it was almost like we came out and said we're only going to run it, and then we go a couple possessions where we screw up, get penalties, and it's like, dude, start airing it out. They literally could not stop scoring on us. Every drive they were scoring a touchdown. It's like, all right, guys, come on. When are you going to start throwing the ball? Like, come on, you know?
And see, there's consequences to what they did in the first drive of the game. It took almost 10 minutes off the clock. You saw at the very end of it how gassed Riley Leonard was running for half of those against maybe about 2,000 pounds worth of linemen that are trying to kill him.
Crushed. Yeah, he was getting crushed too. Yeah.
So he goes and does that. And then immediately, Ohio State's down the field, start of the second quarter, they're on the board, just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, God, if this is the way it's going to go, it's going to be a long night for Notre Dame. And then we see what happens from there. And finally, they decide, hey, you know, Riley Leonard's got two arms as well, right? And one that's actually pretty strong and accurate. I was impressed. I didn't think that he's that much of a thrower, but when he was a thrower this season, he was pinpoint accurate and he was super strong. I remember the pass that he did against Army that broke the game open at Yankee Stadium, and it brought me back to that Riley Leonard. He made all the plays, and then unfortunately Mitch Jeter in the clutch in the postseason is not like the aforementioned Jeter, who also played at Yankee Stadium this season. So, yeah, you know, it was a game, unfortunately, a double-digit game once again. I believe that's now 8 games for the championship in a row that have been double digits, not a one-score game. Like, come on, can't we get just one game like the Florida State Auburn one that comes down to the last second possession, the Texas USC one that comes down to the last second, the Clemson Alabama one that came to the last second? Nothing like that. Well, yeah, I thought overall it was really good to see two big-time traditional college football powers get together for this. I'll say that much. Even as a UCF fan, it's awesome to see that. I hope we do get some of the underdog ones and they compete big time in the future. But overall, I'd like to direct the conversation to that. In this expanded playing field and in this day of NIL, Russ, I'll start with you here. Do you think that there'll be room for Cinderella to make the championship game?
I mean, I guess anything's possible, Justin. I think it's going to be really tough with the money pool that these larger schools has, as you see in Ohio State, you know, spending so much money. Yes, Ohio State had a lot of guys who were there for a long time. I'm not saying I'm putting that all on the 20 mil they spent, but you did see, you know, some of those key players with Will Howard, with Junkins, with Caleb Downs, who are guys that got that NIL money. So I think it's going to be tough for a team. And like we saw Boise State, they just couldn't, even though as great a season they had and took Oregon to the wire, they couldn't even compete with the second best team in the Big Ten. So I think it would, I mean, I'd like to see it, but will I say it will happen? Probably not, just because of the money pool that these larger schools have. the Texases with all the oil money they have in Texas and large donors, the Ohio State, those schools in the SEC. I just don't see it happening.
I do, to be honest with you. I mean, Notre Dame kind of just did it this year. We're missing like 8 or 9 starters.
Yeah, but Notre Dame's not a Cinderella team.
Oh, not a Cinderella team, but we were a team that was extremely hurt. We didn't spend the money like most of these other schools did, and we were still able to make it to the championship game. And we were pretty much not favored in every game. And to me, I feel like we still should have won it. You know, there's issues on the strategy behind it. That's what, whatever. But I think it's going to be the playoffs probably going to be expanded to 14 teams within the next couple of years. And but Russ, to me, it's like you could have this because I feel like there's more parity now than there has been. Every school can pay. So like if you just get some wealthy donors that are like, fuck it, dude, let's go ahead and like throw $20 million on the team next year. You could do it. Anyone could do it. Fresno State could do it. Like, and these kids don't care because they want to get the money. Now, when everyone starts getting money, a bigger part of it will become the culture, what can you get alumni-wise, all those things, which is why I think Notre Dame has an advantage to some degree in those areas. But I think there's going to be Cinderella teams. I really do. I mean, I mean, we're not a Cinderella Classic team, but we were really hurt, and we still made it all the way to the final, and we didn't really spend much money. Not nearly close to what Ohio State. I don't even think we spent a couple $1 million on NIL stuff. So it's like, and now we got $20 million. We just won. So like, what if next year we went out, or say Arizona State made it there and got like $5 million, $8 million? They're like, screw it. Hey, let's throw it all on the team next year, and they get the best damn guys. Like to me, it can happen. So I just see it becoming more parity, more even. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. So but not the classic Cinderella in terms of like a team that shouldn't even be in the tournament gets in and makes it. But like I'm talking Cinderella is in like maybe the last place team in there is not as much of a Cinderella compared to what they might have been.
Okay, so we have a couple different definitions here of Cinderella. Russ is thinking the Boise States of the world. Pete is thinking the team that comes in very injured and not expected to go very far does go very far. Let's think about what if a team like Russ's Arizona Wildcats get in and they make it all the way? Do we see that realistically happening in the next few years?
Okay. I will preface this with it could. It just depends on how much they want to throw into the football program, how much they want to do. Like any of that could happen, man. Like I'm not going to rule that out. Why would you? It's like the NFL now. You can pay guys. I mean, you can have a team, the worst team in the league a couple of years ago. Now the Lions were only 2 games away from going to the Super Bowl or whatever, like that stuff can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just one more piece of news to report here that Notre Dame's defensive coordinator, Al Golden, is expected now to take the Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator job. Could potentially be a blow to that defensive line especially. But how confident are we that Notre Dame gets back to this point? Russ,
go ahead, Russ.
I mean, I think they can get back. I mean, I think Marcus Freeman's a hell of a recruiter, and that was the reason he got the head coaching job, because he relates to the players and the players like him. So he does a hell of a job with that, and that $20 million will help because you're not going to be throwing that all on transfers, but you see the majority of these teams who are, getting this far, they're throwing serious money on transfer guys, and that's what we saw in Ohio State. So that $20 million is going to help. And I mean, yeah, you lose. I don't want to ruin it for him, but yeah, you lose a coach. But I think Marcus Freeman has proven himself as a guy who can recruit and get players to come. Now, I don't know, and I'm going to get into this a little tomorrow on deck. I have a baseball coach coming from Long Beach State. We're going to do an interview with him. I'm going to ask him the question. I don't know the fact of with this NIL format, because back in the day when we were going to college, you still had to have the grades to go to the school. So we would see guys get offered. They got offered from USC and they signed, but at the end of the day, they don't have the grades to get to the school. I would I'm going to ask him, tomorrow. I want to find that out. Like, how is that with the new NIL playing into it? Because especially like a team like Notre Dame, the school has very high academic standards. So, can they get some of those guys who maybe can't get into that school, or has the NIL format changed that?
Petey, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you, Russ. I think that Notre Dame can. To me, what I really found in this entire process is kind of, Russ, what you were saying. Kind of how college basketball is kind of going now too, is veteran players who've been around from 4 to 6 years are carrying these teams. I mean, our quarterback, Riley Leonard, he's been around, 5-6 years? Quinn Ewers, how the hell long has he been around? I mean, Howard, how the hell long has he been around? Like, these are kind of grown men doing this. So I think Notre Dame can get back there if we focus on paying the very highly talented grown men available in the portal and effectively recruiting out of high school and trying to maybe get the top, like kind of what Ohio State does, is where it seems like every year they have the best receiver in the country. Well, fuck that. Why has it got to be them? Why can't it be Notre Dame? Maybe the kid's not that smart, but NIL deal, hire 5 tutors to help teach the kid. I mean, Jesus, anyone can learn. So yeah, I think there's obstacles, but you got to figure out ways to get around those. But I really do think it's all about the veteran leadership and the guys who have been around playing for 4, 5, 6 years. And, I mean, we've seen it. That's clearly what has been the success to most of these teams, at least at the quarterback level. So I think we could do it. Yeah. I mean, there's always a way to get around something, and not even necessarily get around it, but, get through it. You just got to figure it out.
That's right. And just some quick stats in the game. Ohio State did win this game 34-23 for their 9th national championship in school history. Will Howard had 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 57 yards on the ground. Quinshon Judkins, the real star of the ground game, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing, and 1 through the air. Riley Leonard on the other side, 255 yards, 2 scores, and he had 40 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Jaden Greathouse dominating the passing game here, the receiving game, I should say. 6 catches, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Congrats to the Buckeyes. Notre Dame had a great season as well. Happy to see that they made it this far. Marcus Freeman's a great coach. We all love him. And Ryan Day saves his job, nonetheless. He was on the hot seat, especially after that Michigan loss, but he just bought himself maybe 10 more years.
I mean, my question is now we kind of see this 12-team format play out. Are we going to see more teams? Because you saw a lot of teams either, in Notre Dame's sense, they don't have a conference championship game. Ohio State doesn't make the conference title game and wins it all. Are we going to see more teams not want to be playing in that title game and maybe not get in? They sit back, they take that week. Because, I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, that's an interesting thought. I saw the ACC is already contemplating having their regular season champion take a bye and have their second and third place teams duke it out for the championship to get into the playoff, which if you're trying to get multiple teams in, I think that's a genius move because it's more money for your conference in the end.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the 2 teams that made it to the final had 2 less games than everyone else, right? So, that wear and tear on your body, all those extra weeks, playing all the way into late January, like that's a lot of football for these kids, and they've never had that before, or playing 3, 4, 5 more games or whatever the hell it is if you make it to the title game. So I can see teams doing it. I just think it all depends on how they are going to do the seeding, like how they're going to award buys and stuff. So we'll just have to kind of see how that plays out. If they keep it the same way they did this year, then I guess I could see that. Yeah, if you're number one in there.
I guess it all comes down to the strength of your conference too. So like in ACC's case, I mean, did the ACC really deserve 2 teams in there?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, in the Big 12, say Arizona State's like, hey, we're 12-1, but would the Big 12 would they take 2 Big 12 teams in? So I guess it just kind of goes into the strength of your conference too, which you really can't, before the year guess that our conference is going to be so strong, like the Big 10, like the SEC was able to get in 3 teams each.
That's right. With the concentration in talent pools, you're going to see the Big 10 and SEC probably face off each other in the title game for years to come if Notre Dame's not there. That's my prediction.
Yeah. I mean,
probably, yeah.
Where,
or SEC versus SEC. I mean, one of the two, or Big Ten. So,
I mean, where are we putting Ohio State now? Who's wide receiver you for you?
That's tough. I mean, LSU right there, still wide receiver you. Ohio State, you could make that.
Why is LSU? What's your reasoning on that?
Why LSU over them?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this rookie class here. You've got Malik Neighbors, you've got Brian Thomas.
Okay.
Look recently to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry about 10 years ago.
In the past, they've had amazing receivers.
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson as well. So you've got a compelling case for both.
You look at Ohio State, all the guys they got: Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and now all these guys coming up.
With all due respect, though, Russ,
you got Chris Carter. So I mean, like, I think there's a.
With all due respect, the recent guys, how many wide receiver ones?
Wilson, with no Adams there, of course. He's still wide receiver one. Smith and Jigba's going to be one. Harrison's one. Olave's one.
Would you put Smith and Jigba one over DK and Lockett in Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No.
Yeah. He's taking over. He's taking over.
That's because DK is going somewhere else. That'd be the only reason.
No,
that's the rumor he is.
Did you see him at the end of the year? He's taking over. He's wide receiver one.
All right.
And where do we rank this Ohio State team in the ranking of great teams that won a national title?
I will say they had the greatest run of all time.
But is that because they played more games?
Yeah, we haven't seen anything like that. So that's a different category on its own right there. Then we also think about, were they any better than, say, the 2014 team that won it with their third string quarterback? They lost to Virginia Tech that year, yes, but then they went on a generational run there too. Now, I'm not putting any recent team above that 2019 LSU squad. I don't think we can say that for years to come. But I would put this Ohio State team probably, I don't know, fourth in that ranking, maybe behind LSU, 2020 Alabama, if you count the COVID year, and then probably the 2018 Clemson team.
I mean, you can't put them. LSU never went 15-0 and never trailed a game by less than 7 points. Never trailed a game and beat everybody by 7 points or more. So that's. I mean, you got Miami, you got SC of the old days, you got Alabama. I mean, I don't know where you put them in that. I mean,
I was just making recent ones, but if we're doing all time, yeah.
I mean, if you're doing the last 25 years,
I'd put them behind the USC with Reggie Bush, and I'd probably put them behind the Miami Hurricanes. To me. Sure. Yeah, I mean, if we're going back that far, I mean, they're good. I'm a little biased right now because I think we could have beat them, and I don't think we have the most talented team, and I still thought we had a chance to beat them. So, I don't know. That Saban team that beat the shit out of us in 2012 was pretty damn good. Was it Ingram, and then the Henry team? I mean, the two a year. I mean, Jesus, having him and Jalen Hurts. That
was the Eddie Lacy team.
Oh, Eddie Lacy team. That's it. Yeah.
And that was like Marcel Darius, C.J. Mosley, Dante Hightower, Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, I mean that team was like all time. I mean,
Julio Jones.
So I'm biased here because I really do think we could have beat them. And I'm not just saying that. That's what my eye test tells me. That's what certain things we did wrong. So I'd probably put USC for sure and the Miami Hurricanes above this Ohio State team. I thought they were good. But USC, Reggie Bush, Matt Lyon, they're better than that LSU
I mean, if
team.
we're going dynasty, yeah, but I mean, LSU on a 1 year basis, I mean, to not be trailing to a single team all year.
Never trailed in the fourth quarter either.
Never trail. I mean, it would.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Beat every team by 7 points or more. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Burrow had 60 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm. It's always a heated debate about that.
And that was a terrible game too. That was a terrible title.
It was. Yeah. Clemson was up, I think, 7-0 or something before.
The best title game we've had has been that Georgia-Bama game. I mean, realistically, in the past decade. Yeah,
that was
recent
33
memory.
to 18, even so, because Georgia scored late on that pick six. Yeah, and then the one Pete and I went to, of course, that was the worst one.
That was a classic. No. That was a classic.
Stetson Bennett, 6 touchdowns on the night.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh man,
I was looking at that game, and a guy who's going to be in the draft who really upped his stock was Junkins. That guy probably jumped up the draft boards from just one game. Going for the hat trick. I mean, that guy probably is got to be at least, second rounder now after one game, because he was just gashing that offense. I mean, that defense, excuse me.
Yeah. So, guys, let's do a quick season recap. We had a great year of ups and downs in college football, starting off even with the Week 0 matchup between Florida State and Georgia Tech that really set the tone for what Florida State was going to be and all the memes that proceeded after that. We go back to thinking of some of our favorite games. I'll point out my favorite game of the year was the 8-overtime Georgia Tech UGA game that I did not see going that far, thinking that Georgia was just this otherworldly team. But remember, it's rivalry week and anything can happen. My whole family, all 5 of us, for the first time in maybe 2 years we're together, but first time I remember all 5 of us sitting around and watching a football game in its entirety back in Houston after Thanksgiving. And it was just a very memorable moment overall. I loved it. I love to see free football going that long. And I even had a friend, my friend Rebecca out here, who didn't go to Georgia, but she grew up in Atlanta, got invited to the game from some friends who go to UGA and went to see that in person and saw half of the student section leave about 3/4 through or something like that. And they missed an all-time classic. So I'm going to go with that one. Pete, what's your favorite game of the year?
Probably Notre Dame winning the Orange Bowl to go to the title game against Penn State. That was my favorite game just because it's my team. So I'm going to say that one.
Mm-hmm. And to do it against Penn State, too, historic rival, but even. It was an absolute deadlock even all-time record between the two. I think it was 9-9-1, and now it's 10-9-1 Notre Dame.
Yeah, something like that, I think. Yep.
How about you, Russ?
I mean, that Georgia Tech game was a classic. I was like, please end this. It's midnight. I want to go to sleep. I was like, I'm literally like the second touchdown Georgia scored in that overtime. My eyes are like closing, and I'm like, oh, I got to wake up. So that was great. That Alabama Vanderbilt game, that was great because, I mean, it's Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, sorry, Pete. Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame was great. I didn't watch that game as much, but that's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story.
This is college football. I mean, every week was great.
That's true.
One of the best time of the year is to put that up with October baseball and March Madness.
That's right. And speaking of Vandy Bama, that's going to go down as my favorite upset of the year. You take a Vandy team that's on the rise, but we didn't think they were quite as on the rise as they showed out to be, winning a bowl game over Georgia Tech. But they went and hosted Alabama right after Nick Saban said the only easy place to play in the SEC is in Nashville. And then that happens. Now, Nick Saban's not coaching the team anymore, but it's just like, isn't it ironic? Am I right, guys?
Mm-hmm. Also, that's true.
Another great memory, another this season that we got is Nick Saban on College Game Day. Listen to that guy talk football is just pure magic. He knows so much more than all the other guys. It's insane. Just listen, shut up and listen to Nick Saban, and everything he says is phenomenal.
You mean Alabama Jones?
Yeah. Hey, still.
It's classic.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Russ, what was your favorite upset of the year, would you say?
I'm with you, Justin. I mean, Vandy over Alabama is amazing. And knowing that I lived in Nashville, I would have loved to have been at that game. That would have been amazing. But, I mean, knowing it's not a football school, it's predominantly a baseball school, is their best. I mean, I'm with you on that. That's an amazing upset. The Northern Illinois Notre Dame, that's just like, holy crap. But Vanderbilt, knowing anything about Vanderbilt football, you think there's no shot in hell. Northern Illinois, you're like, okay, this is just like a miracle. Vanderbilt's like, come on, it's Vanderbilt. Everybody makes fun of Vanderbilt football.
And Bama had just gotten the #1 ranking right after being Georgia the week before. So they go into Nashville fresh with that ranking just for that to happen. What made it even better.
Mine was Oklahoma beating Alabama because that basically sealed the deal. They're not making the playoff, and it would make me very happy.
Hey, that was a great one too.
Not just beating them, beating the shit out of them. They beat the shit out of them
against Alabama. I don't know how much longer that's going to last because we could see Bama take a nosedive over the next couple of years, depending on what Kalen DeBoer does. I got faith that he's going to turn things into something good, but still, the Saban stain on Alabama on the college football fan base, it's still somewhat fresh, but I'm wondering if it's going to wean out over the years, and we're just not going to think of Alabama as the same. Nebraska had that for a long time, and they weaned off. Now they're nothing.
I already don't hate them as much as I did a year ago.
I'm with you. I like Caleb DeBoer a lot. You know, being
me too.
Went to school in the Dakotas. He started in South Dakota there. I think it's really tough, and you see it in a lot of sports. Me being a Yankees fan, being the guy who comes in after a legend. So like the guy who came in after Derek Jeter, it's like they expect greatness from the shortstop position every time, and DeBoer comes in after Nick Saban, and all Alabama fans is knowing we're the top 4 best team in the nation. We win national titles. It's going to be tough, but I got faith he's going to be able to get his guys in there to even be 9-3 with working with not even with his guys, because he's more an air it out guy, and Jalen Milroe was not an air it out guy as much. Was pretty good, but I mean, to follow a guy like Nick Saban is going to be a really tough pill to follow and a hard thing to follow up because of those Alabama fans are so spoiled with winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You couldn't have said it better myself. Now for our best moment of the year, Russ. Of course, you just mentioned Nick Saban being on game day. He's just a wealth of knowledge of college football, but are there any other moments that really stood out to you?
I mean, it's a college football. I will throw this out because Pete's always trashing this guy, and I love this guy. He's college football, and he gets on ESPN. He loves the SEC, but he gets on ESPN today or after the game, maybe yesterday, and says the Big Ten owns college football right now, and that's my man Paul Feinbaum. So Pete,
finally, he starts talking with some common sense. So yes, come on.
What a disgrace at that title game to see a guy calling the game supposed to be bipartisan.
Oh, I know.
And he's crying on the camera.
Dude, bro, I'm like,
you're not. I mean, like, I understand you went there.
And I understand your kid's on the team, and I know all this other stuff happened to you, but fucking Christ, man. Sorry, I don't mean to, we can bleep that out, but yeah, even I'm sitting there like, I didn't even watch any of it. He starts crying. I'm like, all right, Herbie, get the hell off the TV, man. Like
you're supposed to be unbiased.
Dude,
you're a commentator. You can't be crying because you went there and your son's there.
No.
You gotta hold it together. Jeez, Herbie, but I mean, college football in general, I wasn't too happy with the 12 team. I didn't think playoff was good, but they'll figure it out first year of the system. I know I had my negative remarks on it, but, I think they'll figure it out, and hopefully it'll be a better overall 12 team next year where we have better games because, I mean, I guess we had one full good game. The Ohio State-Texas game was good, kind of. I mean, there was good quarters, but there wasn't a lot of good football. Penn State, Notre Dame, that was probably the best game. I think Penn State should have won that. They kind of fucked that up. I really think Penn State fucked that up. I think they should have won, but I wasn't surprised because, I mean, we saw Penn State all year. But I think hopefully next year we can get a better full 12-team playoff where we get a good full, game of football. Good game of football, besides one game.
Yeah, I'm going to say my favorite part was the playoff. I thought more football, the better. I mean, teams that we don't usually see them play each other, we're playing each other, and more of those versus just 4 teams in the whole playoffs. So, I mean, seeing Arizona State basically should have beat Texas. That was a crazy game. That was, to me, that was the best game of the whole thing. Besides, obviously, my team. I'm taking my team out of it. Like, no bias. Like, that Arizona State Texas game was electric. That was so good, man. Like, Scattaboo literally throwing touchdown passes, running like crazy.
Was that a good game? That was a good couple of quarters of football. It was a good, like Texas got out hot and did nothing the rest until overtime. Arizona State did nothing.
I mean, it was the only one that went to overtime. I mean, I thought it was a good game. It was electric. I mean, dude, we watch these NFL games in the playoffs, and half the time they're not good NFL games. Until you get all the way to the end. Pretty much like wild card weekends usually suck. I mean, you talk about bad football. Lamar Jackson just threw a 2-point conversion. His guy's wide open in the end zone, and he drops the ball wide open in the end zone. Does that make the game a bad game?
No, that was
a terrible play, though.
Great game.
Yeah, but terrible plays.
Full quarters of great football, though.
I know. I'm just saying, like, most of the games in the playoffs are not that way, but even the ones that are still have awful plays where you're just like, what the hell, So to me, the playoff was great. I feel like Notre Dame should have won it, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. We'll get it next year.
Both great moments there. I'm going to say Kirk Herbstreit's tribute to Ben Herbstreit, who passed away, his golden retriever, who was the goodest boy in all college football. He traveled all over the country with him until his last days, and it was just so heartbreaking, and I started crying during it because it's a man's best friend there. Dogs may not be our whole lives, but they make our lives more whole. And I'm so glad that Kirk did that because he got to introduce Ben to the college football fans everywhere the last couple years, and being able to do it one last time, one last ride for Ben. And it just made my heart so warm. And now we have Peter Herbstreit, who's the new goodest boy, taking over for Chief Happiness Officer Ben. So happy that Herbstreit still has a dog companion in his life. And we do wish Ben to rest in peace, the goodest boy in college football. And overall, guys, you know what? That's a good way to wrap it. But I want to do one last thing here. That's our wrap up with our way too early pick for the 2026 national championship game. I'm going to go first here. Maybe James Franklin has learned a thing or two about winning big games, but can he win the games that he's not supposed to? Let's see. I've got Penn State versus the Texas Longhorns next year in Tampa. Hook 'em, baby. Hook 'em. Russ, have you given this any thought?
Go Pete. Go Pete.
Pete, go ahead.
I could see potentially Georgia having a bounce back year, or even Michigan. So I'm going to say Notre Dame versus Michigan. They got the number one quarterback in the nation going there right now. He's already there practicing, I think. So I think Michigan's going to be back in a big way. I mean, they beat Ohio State this year and we didn't. So I'm going to say Notre Dame versus Michigan in the title game.
And Russ, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm with them. I'm going to say Georgia bounce back, and I'm going to go the other way on a young quarterback. I'm going to go Georgia, Tennessee.
Okay, I can see that.
All SEC. All SEC.
Oh, Feinbaum will be creaming himself.
Other favorite moment. People be drunk for about a month. He's going to be an alcoholic if it's all SEC, and I want to see that.
Yeah. Another thing before we go, I thought having Shane Gillis around, because he's a Notre Dame fan, on everything college football, I thought that was hella cool. So I'm hoping he sticks around and they keep him on the media and all that stuff, because he's a funny dude.
Yeah, he's buddies with all those guys. Kill Tony, Dana White, Donald Trump. I'm sure now that Trump is president again, we're going to see him a lot more in the media.
Yeah, you see when we lost, he just tweeted out, he just said, fuck. I was like, I feel the same way, man.
Cheers for the off season. Mine is UCF football. We'll be back, baby. We'll be back. Maybe not next year, but the year after, undefeated again. Maybe year 2 of the second Scott Frost tenure will be just as lucky. Let's go, baby.
There you go, man. Let's see. Off-season cheers. I think I'm looking forward to March Madness. That's coming up here soon. So we got some more sports we can jump into right away. And yeah, maybe take a trip to Mexico or two and kind of get my mind off of losing this game because it stings. And it's probably going to sting for a couple months. But, we got – yeah, exactly. We got what, 7 months till college football, 7.5 months. So start counting down the days, baby. Yeah, come on, start counting down the days.
Mm-hmm. Russ.
Yeah, cheers. I mean, sports never ends, dude. You know, we got the AFC NFC title game this week. Got basketball, baseball's right around the corner. Make sure I tune in tomorrow night on deck. We have a great guest, Rolando Garcia from Long Beach State University. Tune into that. It's gonna be a great interview. But hey, great season of college football. I'm looking forward to 7 months can't come so quick. So
that's true.
Always fun getting on here, talking shit. Always fun making fun of you and Justin. Guys, throw it back at me. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, you guys all know I hate every single LA ball club. And you guys always come at me like I'm not rooting for your team. Like, I'm a New York guy. I don't care. Like, you don't have to just throw it back at me. It's all fun. I don't give a shit if you talk shit to me. I want to talk shit to you. You talk shit back. We're having a good time.
Hey, it's hard to talk shit about the Yankees when the Dodgers are basically the best team ever built in the history of sports. You know, I'm not talking shit to anyone. We're just that good, man. You know?
Yeah, it's easy when you just became a Dodgers fan in 2016.
Dodger Nation, son.
Just hey, let's pick this team's winning. I'm a Dodgers fan.
It was 2014 technically, so get your facts right.
And they're going to have quite the luxury bill in about 10 years from now.
Nah, that's a future problem, bro. Don't worry about it.
it's right now. It's at $1.618 billion.
Yeah, just keep refinancing that loan, dude. It's fine. Just keep doing it.
If Wall Street can do it, so can the Dodgers.
Exactly, bro.
First time we're on. I hope you guys are all safe, and thoughts and prayers to everybody in California, wherever in California, because there are all those fires. I know it's the first time we've been on, so I hope you guys are safe, not sucking in too much of that smoke out there. But wherever the fire is now, I don't know if it's still in Palisades. I know there's a bunch of.
There's one down in Santa Clarita, I think, or Santa Clarita or San Clemente. There's one of the two.
Yeah, 5,000 acres burned in 2 hours. It's insane. We send our prayers out to all those people who are victims or nearby having to evacuate. We want to make sure you're safe. And make sure that if you can pitch in any way, whether that's financially or donating your time, being a volunteer, do what you can. If you're able to, there's a lot of help needed here in LA. And we send our love out to all those people.
And everyone in the Southeast who's dealing with snow that never deals with snow, be very careful driving. All right.
Yeah, right.
Be extremely careful. No, you're okay. But everyone's just north of you there, a couple hours, man.
Pensacola got like 9 inches, but like
Bourbon Street's covered in snow, man. Like
I woke up this morning, and it was like 37. I saw people bundling up like hell. I mean, it was cold. It felt like 41 all day. That's fucking freezing for Florida.
It's crazy, man. Never happened.
Florida State will be winning again when it snows in Tallahassee.
There you go. God bless it.
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for a fantastic season of Touchdown in Paradise. Thank you to the Fins Talk Sports Network for having us. It's always great to be here. Thank you, Bobby, and thank you, everybody else on this channel. Thank you to Russ. Thank you to Pete. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to all of our guests who have been here all season, between Austin, Joey, Heather, anybody else I'm forgetting. I apologize. This has been a great year. And for one final time until the fall, I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
I'm Pete.
And we will see you in late August. You guys have a great summer, great spring, great off season. See you then.